Okay, so what we need to do is we need to identify certain common things between these classes and try to define some base out of it. So as we know, getDetails function with the string return type is common with different implementation that we have. So we can plan to define one, let's say, class first. So I'll define the class. I'll use class person as we defined yesterday, and then we will have kind of content like this. Now obviously, will person class have, let's say initially if we only have the declaration, let's ignore the zigzag line, the red zigzag line that we have. So as of now, it's like person class has got getDetails function only declared. It doesn't have any definition. But is there anything else that we have in common so that we can have members or we can have anything else? So you will notice there is number, there is name, and there is address that we have. So if you notice number, name, and address is common, we can very well put this number, name, and address instead of duplicating the things in constructor. We can very well have these things pulled up in the person constructor. Otherwise, let's say if these things are not common, only the method signature is going to be common. I would have picked up, instead of class, I would have picked up this as an interface. And then we would have gone for the interface implementation in employee and a customer. But since, as we can identify, there is something called as some members as well that we have, we would also want to initialize those members and have some sort of common implementation of getDetails somewhere in here with respect to number, name, and address. So what we can plan now, we can plan to define getDetails one more time in the base itself. So let's go for implementing the getDetails over here. Why are we doing this? What's so common between the getDetails over here and getDetails over here? As you notice, we are doing a concatenation of number, name, and address, which is strictly from the base itself. And only thing which varies in case of both the classes is department and order details. So what we can do is we can take these three things and we can implement it inside the getDetails. So I'll say return and these contents. Now obviously it should not be interface because right now I have a method with the implementation. So I may go and define here it as a class. So again, number, name, and address does not belong to person class. So I should have here the members declared, and maybe we can expect the content from the constructor itself. So let's have a constructor function, ultimately simple constructor written here, and we can expect these public members as in parameter. So we can very well take these three parameter here, and then we can continue using these values all over. Now employee has some similarity, like it has got these three members, and the method, though I have removed some content from here. So employee has some similarity, like employee has method similar to the base, and employee has also something called as members which are similar to something called as person. So what we can do, we can always say employee extends person, and then if I say employee extends person, now what we need to do is in the constructor we need to initialize the person. So like we discussed yesterday, we will have to use here super to initialize the base. So I'll pass on number or this dot number, this dot name, and this dot address as in parameters we'll pass on. So whatever you pass on here, we will collect it and we will send it to the base itself. So okay, I should not use here this, so I should pass on the number, then name, and then address. So we are passing all three parameters to the base. Now we have a getDetails function. So if I have employee class object declared, and if I call getDetails, typically the method is searched in the class that the method is called with whichever object in that object implementation. So right now we have getDetails here. What I'm looking for is number name and address concatenation, which should come from base. So can we go and can we give a call to something like this? Can we give a call to some method like getDetails itself? Right now, if you see this dot getDetails shall I call, or something like super dot getDetails I should call. So let us see if I call it with the help of, if I call it with the help of getDetails only, what sort of method does it call? Because now we have a problem, cannot find a name getDetails. Did you mean the instance member this dot getDetails? So if I just pick a problem, right now the issue is it has no knowledge whether to call getDetails from the current implementation or whether to call it from the base implementation. So suppose if I say this dot getDetails, it should be giving call to the current getDetails again, which means it's going to be something that is a kind of recursive code. And now what we need to do is I need to call the base one. So I may call super dot getDetails. So let's try this. So before we go with customer changes, let me try to do and observe the changes with respect to employee only. So let us create employee class object. So let's have even equal to new employee. I need to pass on those members as we discussed. First of all, we need to specify the department details. So let's specify IT. Let's specify 1. Let's specify ABC. And let's specify Pune. And then even dot, I'll call getDetails here. So this is going to return me something. Let's collect the data and then let's print on the console all these details. Keep it in mind, we are calling employee details and we are calling base getDetails, and then we are appending department to it. Let us see what sort of details we get. So I'm going to open command prompt again. I'm going to use TSC and our code today is 00TS. And let's call. So you will find out what it prints is, it prints employee details are 1 ABC Pune and IT, which means it has successfully given call to employee getDetails, and employee getDetails has given call to the base getDetails as well. So I use super keyword to ultimately give a call to the base function, which is getDetails. Had it been called like this dot getDetails, it would have given call to the current object getDetails method itself. So fair enough, we have ultimately avoided maybe concatenating one more time number, name and address into the employee itself. Now same sort of things we will try to do in case of customer. So same sort of content we will expect here. I'll expect order details as in the other parameter. So public order details of type string I'll expect, and rest of the content can be as it is. So I'll expect number, name and address, and customer should extend person. So customer is a person. And then in getDetails, one more time, instead of we doing a concatenation of number, name and address here, I'll expect super dot getDetails. So it's a kind of a common implementation that you will see, super dot getDetails, and then we are just trying to append customers and employees details to it. Department, employee specific, order details, customer specific. And then what we can do is we can always plan to create a new object of, let's say, employee or customer. Now let's create customer, and then let's pass on few other details. So let's say customer has ordered maybe a TV, maybe XYZ, maybe 2, and let's put here Chennai, and we'll print c1 dot getDetails. So one more time, in order to run this, we will go to TSC, we'll transpile the content, and then we will try to run the content. You will find out it prints employees details and it also prints customer details as well.